I think Elaine Morris may have been too. But anyhow, do we have any report on the policies on the web, our web presence or anything like that?
Katie has sent to the IT department a query as to why they're not on there yet. And so we will find out at some point. I suspect it's because they're overburdened right now. And then, once we get all the new procedures, we'll have to get that updated.
Okay.
But that's where that is.
Right. And let's, I'm gonna just go ahead and move that we do, authorize Ryan to work on getting us an article out at the end of the year. We have a second on that?
A second.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. No opposed?
Andy, I'll be in touch. If I get it lined up, I might.
I'll feed you stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now we're at 5 discussion items. Discussion from the OCCB Procedures Committee. If anybody, Emily or Laura, doesn't want to report on that, I'd be happy to. And so we've been working for a while on revising the application, the criteria worksheet, the evaluation worksheets. Emily and Laura and I have, and we sent out the draft that we had of those documents, or most of those documents, to our eligible recipients that we've worked with, Upstate Forever, the Natural Land Trust, and Oconee Soil and Water Conservation District, and we've gotten comments back from them. And so what we'll be doing next as the Procedures Committee is reviewing those comments and making changes to our drafts with the idea that we're going to then be sending to the other members kind of a final draft of these documents for y'all's input, and maybe look at that in February. We'll send those documents out to you before the meeting, so that at February we can have comments back from you guys and potentially have a final draft for approval at the February meeting. Does that sound right with you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a big thank you should go to Chris and Max and Eddie. I think those are the three that gave us feedback.
Yeah.
And very helpful.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
good input and.
And we're just trying to make it work smoother and simpler and be easier to understand and easier for us and for any potential recipients. That's really our goal. Next on there is discussion action regarding the Whetstone Creek Preserve. So with that application, is a little bit, and this is the estate of William Lyle's property up on in Mountain Rest off Rocky Gap Road, 156 acres. The original applications for that were for a conservation easement. There was an application submitted the day before the application cycle closed on November 1st for a fee simple purchase, which is what this will be. The application.
Is this, I'm not meaning to interrupt, is this the property that goes into the Bryson tract?
It's close to there. Yeah, it may border the Bryson tract.
It is.
Yeah.
You go across this,
Okay. I guess that'd be on the east side of the property, east side of.
You and I went up and looked at it?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that property.
I just want to make sure I'm
That's correct.
the right one.
The issue that's really before us today is that the trajectory of this project is that with the funding that they're going to get, particularly from us, they're going to close on a fee simple purchase from the landowner. Upstate Forever's the applicant, but at that closing, it'll actually transfer to the Natural Land Trust. They will become the owner of the property. The application cited that they were going to put a conservation easement on the property. The Natural Land Trust work since last December has led them to the plan that looks like it'll work to transfer the property to the U.S. Forest Service. And the U.S. Forest Service either won't accept properties with conservation easements, or that they they, I don't know, void out parts of conservation easements, meaning that that's not what they want. So even though the application said they put a conservation easement on it, they're not gonna put a conservation easement on it. And that's basically what we're ratifying today, that change in the application of having a conservation easement is something we're gonna approve for them not to do. And that's what this ratification agreement is about. And it's between Upstate Forever, Natural Land Trust, the Conservation Bank, and Oconee Council. I'll actually make a presentation of this ratification agreement tonight.
Pull out of this meeting, are we gonna discuss more and vote on that?
Do you need to recuse
I
yourself?
probably should recuse
Okay.
myself on concerning William Lyle's estate.
Okay, all
I'll
right.
be just outside.
Okay, Mark.
Yep. So in just a second, I'm gonna ask a question. So, make sure I understand this. We're ratifying it in agreement that there's not gonna be a conservation easement,
That is correct.
which we have provided money for?
We're going to provide money for it.
How do we do that without a conservation easement? Because I thought we had to have a conservation easement.
No, this is for a fee simple conservation purchase.
Okay, so it's a conservation purchase.
That's correct,
Okay.
for the entire amount.
Which it always was going to be.
That's right.
Right.
And to me, the easiest way to look at it is Upstate Forever was the applicant because they were going to hold the conservation easement, but Natural Land Trust was going to buy the property.
Right.
Well, because there's not going to be a conservation easement, Upstate Forever is no longer a party. So we can't give Upstate Forever money, but Natural Land Trust is still going to do the exact same thing, which is hold it as a conservation property until such time as they can transfer it to the Forest Service. So that was the plan all along. It's just the Forest Service will not.
I just want to pose a question, and Eddie, you might be a good one to have here to ask this to. Is the likelihood of the U.S. Forest Service actually ever getting this pretty good?
I would say it would be good.
I mean, do they do this regularly
Yeah,
with other tracts?
That's what Natural Land Trust does in most cases.
Okay.
They make the purchase and then they transfer it to an entity that will hold it from that point forward.
Okay.
And part of the thing here, and this happens a lot, and it was part of what we discussed last time, is that government agencies, particularly federal ones like the Forest Service, take eons to close on a piece of property. And a lot of times, Natural Land Trust can step in and close and own that, and they manage it for conservation purposes until
Someone else.
until, in this case, the Forest Service can jump through all the hoops it has to go through. So you're right, there is always the potential that,
So the language will be in the deed that this is conservation not to be developed?
yes.
Yeah, it'll be in the deed. It's not as good a language as you get, or in-depth language as you get.
That's what I thought.
Conservation easement. And the ratification agreement, so it deals with that aspect, that there won't be a conservation easement on it, and also with the aspect that if it doesn't close with the Forest Service, if it doesn't transfer to the Forest Service, that we're gonna have a grant agreement with the Natural Land Trust as part of this whole deal to, require them to adhere to the provisions of our ordinance in case they keep it, and it doesn't go to the Forest Service.
Right, okay.
So,
And if they decide to transfer it to a different conservation agency, they have to come back to us. That's one of the things that's in the ordinance is once they've accepted our money, whether if it's the conservation easement or the fee simple, whichever one it is, if that property interest is transferred to anybody, it has to come back to the board.
Okay.
that's right.
So,
And so
before
the-
they could sell it to a developer, we would have to say, okay.
So the motion, and I'll make it before us, is to approve this ratification agreement, approve me signing this ratification agreement, and then taking it to the council for their signature as well.
So move.
Okay,
A second.
okay. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. Did that answer your questions about the state of wind loss, where we
Yeah.
were on that. Okay, and so now we're gonna go through the Peggy Moore application.
I'll get him and I'm gonna recuse myself.
That's right. Would you bring Marvin in? And Eddie up, well, we'll call you up there if we need you. We'll go through our process.
Before we get started, Andy,
Yes,
just a
ma'am.
reminder that somebody has to take notes to do the 404 report to the council.
Okay, that's a really good idea, and we have any volunteers for that? We've got an all hand at that, I think.
I will do it. I'm just gonna continue to remind everyone because I won't be on the board forever.
Really?
Yeah. But yes, I'll be glad to do it.
Okay. All right. So, let's just do that as a motion. Well, no, I'll wait till after. So we've got the Peggy Moore application before us. You got that, Marvin?
Yes.
Or whatever you need of that. And we're gonna go through our worksheets, criteria sheets for this. So, Marvin, I'm gonna assign you, and I'm gonna give you an assignment on this, okay?
Okay.
So what we're ultimately gonna do is score it. I want you to keep our score, okay?
Okay.
And here, I'm gonna give you, here's a nice, clean copy of the worksheet and then of the evaluation criteria scoring sheet, okay?
Okay.
All right. So, we should all have in front of us the criteria worksheet. Starts with category, points, required evidence, environmental sensitivity. Everybody there? Okay, all right, so first question on there is wetlands,
Zero.
okay? And let's just have some concurrence on that. We all in agreement with that? That there's 0 on wetlands. USGS blue line streams?
Zero.
Zeros, okay, we're all good with that. Adjacent to water classified as outstanding natural resource water, et cetera,
Zero.
okay? Presence of habitat suitable for threatened or endangered species,
There is.
yeah. We have a suggestion on points for that.
I had put down 5.
I put down 5.
I had a 4. I don't remember why, but I had a 4.
Okay, how about
So
you,
5
Marvin,
is
what do you
fine.
think?
I'm good with 5.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, let's go with 5. Presence of or habitat suitable for native wildlife species,
I was a 5.
I had a 5. 5 okay with y'all? Okay. Presence of special and concentrated biodiversity,
0.
it was a no in the application. Unique geological natural feature, it was a 0 on the application, I believe. So we get a 10 on environmental sensitivity there.
Yes.
That'll ultimately go to that criteria evaluation sheet. Okay, percentage of property shared a boundary with protected land,
0.
0 there. Historic cultural features,
0 for all of them.
I had 0 all the way down. Prime statewide important soil types. Now, when the application first came to us, it was for 36 or so acres, and it fit into, I don't remember which category, but it made it into the percentage to get points. Because the size of the project increased to 58 acres, that diluted the percentage of prime soils there. So it's got 42% is what the application said. In my opinion, it should still get points, even though it doesn't make it into our percentages. That's my opinion. I would give it 3. What do y'all think?
That's what I had down, basically using the same analysis.
Okay, very good. Actively farmed, it doesn't fit the criteria that we have that's in our application. What do y'all think we should do on that? And again, I'll just say that's something that we are addressing in our reworking of the application of, this is a situation where there was no tax returns filed because there was no income produced, but they were through a rebuilding, growing hay, rebuilding the herd type thing. they were actively farming it, but it didn't meet our criteria, meaning to me that our criteria was too rigid and not flexible enough to really look at the actual situation. But how would we deal with it now in terms of points?
I went ahead and gave it a 5 because I felt like that criteria was the board's, not an ordinance.
Okay.
And that this was my analysis, and that we had the discretion to say, and it was in fact actively farmed, or is, I should say, actively farmed. And so we have the discretion, but that was just me.
Sure. Any other thoughts?
No, I'm fine with 5.
I'm fine with 5 as well, because we know it's actively, we have evidence that it's actively farmed. You getting all this, Marvin? Public visibility of the property, thoughts on that? Visible from a federal, state, or county road? It is.
5, it is.
And the maximum points is 5, so there you go. Scenic view from property, including whether or not it maintains the kind of the scenic nature of an area of the county.
And did we skip the visibility? We had 5, but then there was the other.
Well, it already got the maximum points
Okay,
with
I got
with the first one, so we're good there.
Okay.
So, you're just going for the ultimate points on there on your,
I follow you.
yeah, okay. Scenic view from property, thoughts on that?
I gave it a 3 because it's helping maintain the scenic nature. And I felt, that's just me personally, that the 4s and 5s should be for if it actually has a view and is open to the public, or more significant, but I don't know what other people think.
Thanks,
That's
Emily.
just a
Any other
starting place.
thoughts?
I'm good with 3.
3's fine for me. Public access, usually our working farms don't have public access. This one doesn't either, so that's a 0 there. Threat of development. Again, I think we're limited by our criteria within here. And I remember Eddie talking to us about this way back when, in that, this is nice, flattish land, easy to develop. It's in a part of the county that's very developable, being closer to the interstate than maybe some of the uplands. But I think anywhere in Oconee County can be developed, obviously. But by the criteria, it only fits really the last one, property is greater than 5 miles from an incorporated municipality. In my mind, it's has a threat of development as high as anything we'll see, and I would give it a 5 on this, but what are y'all's thoughts?
I'm good with 5.
Okay. Let me make those notes real quick. I gave it a lower one, but I'm fine with a 5. Flat area of county being developed.
Size of protected property at 58 acres, it fits into the first category, 51 to 250, so it gets 5 there. So, Marvin, will you run through right quickly what we've given in terms of these? Yes, sir.
Environmental sensitivity, we have 10. Percentage of property sharing boundary, that was 0. With protected land, correct?
Okay.
Don't think.
And what I ultimately want you to do is, go to this sheet, evaluation criteria scoring,
Okay.
and transfer those values to here.
Okay, to this back sheet.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, well, environmental sensitivity, 10.
Okay.
Sharing boundary, 0. Historic cultural features, 0.
Yes, sir.
Prime soils, 3. Actively farmed, 5.
Yes, sir.
Public visibility, 5. Scenic View, 3.
Yes, sir.
Public Access, 0. Threat of Development, 5.
Yes, sir.
And size of property, 5. So 10, 13, 18, 23, 26, 31, 36 points.
Okay, all right, so let's just put that in that category. And now we'll go on to section 2, financial, staying on this same sheet that we're on. Right there. So on the section 2, financial, funding percentage request. How do we rule there?
Am I right that they're requesting 6.6%?
6.8%, I believe.
6.8, okay.
Yes, ma'am. So they're, our standard is 10%, they're requesting less than 10%, they're
So
requesting.
I consider that excellent,
Yeah.
anytime it comes in under 10%.
Yeah, same with me. Everybody agree with that? So that's a 5 for that first one. Matching or other monetary contributions from other agencies or groups.
And they've got 100,000, 73,250 from NRCS, and 31,625 from the SCCB. So again, I think that's just excellent.
Okay, I agree. Everybody okay with that? Low cost for value received. I get that as $171 per acre,
Thank you.
which is, Marvin, that pretty good?
That's pretty good.
All right, we'll give them a 5 right there. Other financial benefit. There's nothing in the application that addresses that, and it's a little bit obscure, and that's something that we're addressing in our revision. I didn't come up with anything there. Did anybody come up with anything there? Other incentives. Again, I didn't come up with anything there. Did anybody? Okay. All right, so Marvin, what you got for us on the financial?
So it would sum up to 15.
Okay, all right. So what's our total score then? Adding those two together?
51.
51, okay. So let's have a motion to approve, or a motion on this. Somebody want to make a motion on what we've just done?
So do we approve our evaluation and then have a motion to send it to county? Or
Yes.
do we just, I don't remember.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we want to,
So I make
given
a
what Marvin's
motion,
reported to us, yes, ma'am, go ahead.
I will make a motion to accept the evaluation criteria scoring as discussed and compiled by Marvin, period.
Second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good job. Do you need to tell us anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, very good, Eddie.
We're good.
And we want to have a motion, and I'll move that Emily compile the report as required by our ordinance that will go to county council. We have a second on that motion?
I second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
When you
Okay.
gonna do that?
In regards to that, I have got, what I'm going to start doing with this report to county council is where it says availability of funds is one of the things, rather than going through, I want to start attaching whatever is the current of what we're informally calling the Duke report.
Uh-huh.
So is what I've got from the last meeting current?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the two that are pending are still pending, William Lyles and Elaine Morris.
That's correct.
Okay. And did you say there's something else where the money's been transferred but it's not closed?
That's the Elaine Mars.
Oh, that's the Elaine Morris, so it's still pending. Okay, so I'm gonna start doing that, and I know we're gonna vote in a few minutes on the more, but if we can get that particular report updated every time
Yep.
we approve
Okay.
something,
Okay.
then it would make it it doesn't have to be on it for this report, obviously,
No,
it's
yeah.
not approved, but for the next one.
Okay. So that begs the question then, do we have a motion to approve the application of the Oconee Soil and Water Conservation District for $10,000 in funding for the Peggy Moore Conservation Easement?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
There you go, Eddie, you got it officially right there. And you know, the last county council meeting of the year is tonight. I'll be going to that.
Okay. Ooh, I didn't think about that. Okay,
Do you?
I'll go home after this, draft the report, and send it to you and Katie.
Okay, and I'll present it.
Yeah, Katie will,
I don't have to present it,
It's not on the agenda.
so we can't do it. Okay, very good.
oh, I thought you said that,
I'm on the agenda for the ratification agreement.
oh, okay.
Okay,
But this isn't, so I don't have to worry about getting it done tonight, until
okay,
tomorrow.
so Eddie, what that means is that when's the first council meeting in 2021?
The meeting dates have not been approved yet.
I see.
The first meeting has been approved, which is, will be January the 5th. We typically don't do a whole lot of
Right.
business on that meeting, just because we're trying, the first meeting with officers and things like that. So, we typically will do that on the second meeting of the month, which is
19?
typically the third Tuesday.
Okay,
But again, it hasn't been approved yet, and will not be approved until January the 5th.
I understand.
I was actually gonna look up the agenda real quick, for tonight, because well, it's on the, Whetstone, so, is on the what we're talking about tonight, so, we may be able to do it.
Okay, all right, so we'll do it if we can.
I
And,
think, because from the other ones that we've done in the past, it's on like, because this is talking about ratification, so
okay,
I don't think we can because it's talking
And that's
about,
fine.
the grant application. But if you want to go ahead and do it and send it to me,
Right.
just on the in case that we can,
let's do
then I
that.
will, but I don't think that we can.
If you can do that, Emily.
Okay, yeah, I just have to make changes I wasn't going back home today. But I will go back home and do this.
Then just wait then, because the timeframe will be in, if, let's say that it is
Can-
January the 19th, the timeframe, we would be in the correct timeframe, correct?
That is correct. And I talked to
Okay.
Eddie yesterday about his time frame because
Yeah, that was my question.
and you're okay with it, getting the ultimate approval either January 5th or January
That'd be
19th?
fine, because we've got a lot of work to do still
Okay.
yet,
Great.
with the appraisal and the surveys and all that stuff. Those won't be, I'm hoping to get those in by mid-April, no later than the beginning.
Yeah,
of March.
let's
Okay,
let's
so
just
if
wait
there's
until
no
January
rush-
19th. If that's the next council date, it will not be January the 5th. But, it
Okay.
could typically be, January the 19th, but just,
We understand.
so don't worry about that, Ms. Hitchcock.
Okay, yeah.
Broadwell,
If
that was
that's
Eddie
okay with
Martin.
you, because I can do it if,
Yeah.
okay.
That was Eddie Martin of the Oconee Soil and Water Conservation District answering our questions on that. So that's our schedule on that. Of course, it's not approved until the council approves it. And we'll send you a notice that it was approved, and then you've got 4 months to accept that approval after that, which I
I got
anticipate
4
you.
days.
That's what I'm anticipating.
Should I bring Ryan in?
Yes, if you would. Thank you. Now, who else do we have here?
This is Celia Myers. She's working with me in my office as a contract rep for Conservation Stewardship Program that
Okay.
we're trying to put out and get people to sign up for. And she's interested in everything we do in the office, so she came in.
What was your name again?
Celia?
Celia?
Yes, sir.
So you're just observing? Very good, thank you. Glad you're here. Okay, very good. So now we're to the discussion action regarding the Natural Land Trust, and I'll report on that. And if you'll remember at the last meeting, we got an application in the November cycle for funding to reimburse the Natural Land Trust or to pay for restoration. And I think it was actually for reimbursement, which we don't do. We only give out funds to acquire interest in land. The National Land Trust already owns the piece of property that they were submitting application on. I've communicated with Max Stone, the executive director, about that, and he's communicated back that he understands that we won't be funding that. So we don't have to take any act. Well, I think we do. He sent an application in.
We voted last time.
Did we actually vote last time to deny that application?
We voted to tell him that he does not meet the qualifications.
Yeah. Let's just go ahead and vote, have a motion to deny that application.
Wait a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's think about this.
Okay, go ahead.
If we can't accept the if we deny it, it has to go to council to approve the denial. If we accept the application, we don't, then that's what the ordinance says.
I
Then we
see.
recommend
Okay.
either accept, deny, or fund in part. Those are.
I understand.
Okay,
So-
so what we had discussed was to tell him, you don't meet the criteria. So if you feel further action is required, then he should withdraw it because it doesn't meet the criteria, but I don't think that's necessary. I think, we can just say the
Okay.
application was not accepted because it doesn't meet our criteria.
Fresh me on what?
This is on the Burles Ford property?
Yeah.
Burles Place property.
Yeah.
Place, yeah.
Yep.
So, but I don't know, it's a sticky wicket, Andy.
No, let's unstick it and just have a motion to not accept the application, if we could. And I'll make that motion. I move that we reject, that we don't, we don't deny it, we don't accept it because it's an improper application.
And it's the Burles Ford Natureland Trust.
Yeah.
That's Burles Place.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Am I still in the wicket?
Well, I just feel like what we did last time
Was
was
adequate?
we voted to inform him
That we can't do it?
that it does not meet the criteria
Yeah, I thought
for,
Okay, so we've got I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
I
We've got a
withdraw my motion. May I?
Okay, withdraw. No, I was gonna say, before we have discussion, we have to have a second. then
That's
we
right,
can
so
discuss. So you're
I
withdrawing?
withdraw my motion.
Okay.
So, okay, I'm just not even going to approach that wicket.
yeah,
And I've informed you that we can't do that, and so
Uh-huh.
that's our status from last time.
okay. Did you just talked to him, right?
We have an email.
You had an email? I would, in terms of the file, since we have a file on it,
I'll
I would
provide
suggest that the email get in the file,
Okay,
although it's reflected in the minutes.
right. I'll send you that email.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, next, update regarding the Elaine Morris project. I've communicated with Ann Sullivan, the attorney that's doing the closing with the McLaurin Law Firm, and with Scott Park, the UF eligible recipient representing them. They have sent the closing documents to the landowner somewhere up north, Connecticut, New Jersey, somewhere, Massachusetts. The landowner will be signing those closing documents, sending it back down. They think they'll be able to close by the end of the week, if not early next week. On November 24th, Ryan and I signed to get a $12,500 cashier's check to the closing attorney, which I did on that day. So it's been in the escrow account, and it'll be dispersed as part of that closing. That's where we are on that. Any questions about that? Okay. And just going back to Whetstone Creek Preserve, with our ratification of this, they plan to close before the end of the year. And so we'll do another withdrawal from the state investment pool to the Community First account to do that. Update regarding Duke Energy report, sent that on November 25th. I'd actually revised it just a little bit from what's in the backup materials.
Okay.
That's what I sent you yesterday.
Okay.
I did talk to Duke yesterday. They got the report, and if, you know, that money came through the relicensing process for the power plant in Oconee County, Oconee and Pickens counties. They made sure to inform me yesterday that there won't be any other funds coming out of relicensing. And they suggested that they've got a habitat protection incentive program that we can talk to folks about, though there wouldn't be direct funding coming to us like that original Duke award that we got. But it could be funding for eligible recipients that are working on projects. So in other words, it didn't sound hopeful in terms of getting more funds from Duke. Though in my mind, I believe there's a Duke Foundation that potentially could show some promise, or at least potential for submitting a, you know, grant application or something like that to get more funds.
So what's the difference between the Duke Foundation and the?
So, you know, my impression is, and I don't know this because I hadn't researched it, that, you know, Duke Energy is a corporation that owns and operates all of their power plants. But I believe that there's a foundation that's a granting foundation that is either part of or associated with Duke Energy. And that's what I'm saying, is that that's where the potential would be for further funding for us from originating from Duke. So, yeah, not the best news in the world, but that's the status right now. Any other questions, thoughts? Celia, do you want to say anything to us, or Eddie?
Well, we appreciate, you know, the work that you've done for us, and the opportunity to continue the work that we do by trying to preserve these properties and put some conservation easements and other things on some of our local stuff. So, again, we appreciate what you folks have sit through all these meetings and made the opportunities for us to go forward with what we do.
Thanks. I appreciated that document you sent about the area of concern, you know, about that part of the county. That meant a lot to me, that it's targeted for protection because there's such a good, valuable soils. So if
I have one thing.
Yes, sir.
Before we close, I think we need to be mindful, we're gonna need to address fundraising in the future.
That's correct.
I mean,
Right.
you know,
It's
our
soon.
golden cow's not gonna, so if we want this to go forward
Absolutely.
into the future, we've got to figure out a way to maybe approach who we need to approach to figure out an endowment possibly, or, I mean, we kind of need to see it for what it is.
Yeah.
Because,
So you can't do an endowment until you have enough money to do an endowment.
I know.
So you're gonna go raise the money to do that. You know, our money currently has come from Duke, but there are other.
you remember we had a financial planner came,
That's correct.
Right.
and I think, I mean, it's got to be north of like 1.2 million or something to, like, you figure out how much you want to play with per year.
Yeah,
And if we establish that, then you go from there, but
And it
I'm
seems,
just putting it out there.
yeah, I think you're right, Ryan, and I think that what we need to do is an endowment campaign where we say, this is what we want to do, this is our target, and we go fundraise, and all that money is gonna go toward the endowment, but we gotta meet the goal. Now, I'll tell you, it's easy for me to sit here and say that's how to do it. I've been on the receiving end of enough requests to help fund endowments, to know where that, you know, that appears to work. But I do not have the contacts
Right.
that are going to get us to that kind of endowment. I'll be glad to help in any way I can, but I think it's gonna take someone else on the board. And I'm not I guess I'm sitting here saying, I don't know who that person is.
Well, in my opinion, it's gonna have to come from within Oconee County, because
Yeah.
our borders are obviously as far as we can go, and it might be worth talking to people in the conservation community to kind of target, okay, let's figure out who's there philanthropically, what estate, whatever. I mean, I'm just,
Well, and this is kind of an expansion of the fundraising public relations reports, part of the agenda, in my opinion. Why don't we create why don't we get a fundraising committee? Because as long as we don't have a quorum in any committee, we can work outside of board meetings on this. And I think that's what needs to happen is, 2 or 3 people sitting down and putting their heads together on how to do that. So I move that we create a fundraising committee. We have a second on that?
I'm sorry.
Okay, any discussion on that? Like who should be on it? I think Ryan should be on it.
I'd
for
be
sure.
glad, I mean, sure.
And Laura,
I would be on it, I just don't wanna head it because I don't have the contacts.
yeah, I understand.
Been
Do
here-
you think Ryan would make a good lead on that? Good head of that?
I don't know, I mean, I have a lot of contacts, but I mean,
Well, it's mainly just, the committee's talking it out and figuring out how to go forward, And you can do more work when you can really sit down at a table and start talking about it and figuring out a plan.
I'll do it if you do it.
Sure, I'm good. You got it.
Famous last words on section 4.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, very good. Marvin, this is your last meeting. Thank you for your service.
I appreciate
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we may turn to you, like on this issue, you may
Yeah.
have contacts that are of value to us. Okay? All right.
Sure thing.
Anything you need to say, closing out?
No.
Okay.
I just appreciate the opportunity. I've enjoyed it. And, it's really starting to show fruit.
Yeah, that's true, it is. You've been here a while and got to see most of that development.
And if you know of anybody in your district, I mean, we got some seats to fill,
Did you,
I've tried to get some folks, but, I would love to see someone in the, timber industry, but it's a continued shrinking pool of folks.
Is Jamie Smith in your,
He would be, in Westminster.
he'd be good. I mean,
I hit up Rex Ramsey. Had any luck with Rex, but,
So your district is what?
Westminster, really.
Okay. So we've got me, and I've talked to Mr. Durham, who's the councilman from my district, and he knows that I want to be reappointed, and he seems willing to do that. So we've got you, and then we've got an at-large.
Yeah.
In District 5.
yeah.
And
District 5. 2, 4, 5 is up for, and 1 at large is all up for.
Frank was 5, wasn't he?
Reappointment or appointment this year, or next year.
Okay, am I the at-large that's up?
Fran, wasn't it?
I don't.
Oh, no,
No.
Fran was.
Frank Abels was 5,
Brandon,
right?
Yeah, Mr. Munlin. No, you're 2022 because you were appointed in 2019.
Okay,
Yeah, so you're good for a couple more
I said
years.
Fran.
So the ones that are up are myself,
You,
Frank's seat,
yes, District 4,
Marvin's seat.
District 5,
And Fran.
and Ms. Runlet was the
Okay.
at-large, because there's 2 at-large, but they go,
Katie, if I move the middle part of next year to a different district, do I automatically forfeit my seat? I do, don't I?
yeah, because you're in, what, District 3?
Seneca, yeah.
Yeah, if you move out of District 3,
Well, I'm moving to the district we need a seat for. I'm
Yeah.
moving to where Frank,
so if you were to, sorry, if you were to move, say, to District 5,
yeah, I think that's, yeah.
and we don't have anybody for that seat, you could apply, because you technically have to resign, because you're no longer living in that district anymore.
Yep.
And I think yours is, you're in District 3, so yours will not be, up for 2022. So, you would have to reapply, or apply, I guess, with the,
Mine would be up at the
question
end of
year.
next year, though.
Well, but here's the thing though, is that if you, let's say you do get District 5, that would be your second term, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and is this your first term? This is your first term, yeah. So if you were to move and you were to go, let's say District 5, which is Mr. Hart's district, then, and he appointed you or nominated you to be on the board again, then that would be your second term.
I'd be moving to Julian Davis's district, though.
Okay, well then his district is open. And I don't have the paperwork in front of me, it's in my office. I've only gotten just a handful. I know I've got Mr. Smith's questionnaire, but, I think I've got one more questionnaire, and that's about it. So we definitely need some people for districts 4, 5, and the at-large.
What district is Walhalla?
District 2.
That's two. So who'd you say, Jamie?
Jamie Smith. Problem is, he's just so busy, being able to make a meeting. I mean.
Can I just say, I just want to say something, that is my cousin, so I don't know if that makes a conflict or not, so,
You could just recuse yourself for 2 years.
okay.
I don't think it does. Well,
Hey, I was
don't
only
know.
joking, you don't have to laugh.
I'm
No.
It doesn't.
Well, he came to mind, but.
No, it doesn't. Not unless South Carolina law is very different from Georgia.
So we still need an at-large person?
Yeah.
And yeah.
I wonder if William Knoll would be interested.
Maybe.
He's a forester. You know him?
I do.
Yeah. Would you check with him?
Okay. All right, anything else? Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
A second.
All in favor?